to A Well-Designed Business. My name is Luann Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to another episode of A Well-Designed Business. Happy to tell you that today is a Where Are They Now show. Today I'm re-interviewing Darla Powell from Darla Powell Interiors in Southern Florida. Darla was originally on the show episode 203. And the truth is, in the beginning of our conversation, we sort of go back and forth and rehash a lot of that beginning episode as far as the significance of it. So I'm not going to do it again in the introduction here. But I do encourage you to go back and listen to that episode as well, because there was a lot of information in that episode about how Darla got her business off the ground, out the gate right away in the first 7 months. And also Darla shared a lot of tips with Instagram in that particular episode. Okay. So, but today we're going to learn about everything that Darla has accomplished in this last year. And she has she actually has a new thing for us to share as well, as far as a brand new announcement that she is happy to share and debuting on the podcast with us today. Now, before we get to the show, just a reminder that we have our podcast sponsors, Cravat Inc., My Doma Studio, and Camp Chroma. At Cravat Inc., don't forget, you can use your code AWDB10 for 10% off any one purchase of Cravat fabric, wallpaper, or trim. So make sure you specify Cravat on your next project and take advantage of your 10% off. Then you have My Doma Studio, the platform to manage your interior design business. It's the place to communicate with your clients, your vendors, to make your mood boards, to create packages to sell to your clients. The possibilities of how My Doma Studio can help your business are literally a mile long. So make sure that you head over to mydomastudio.com/a-well-designed-business and learn about how it can help you run your interior design firm more efficiently. And then finally, we have Camp Chroma. Okay, at Camp Chroma, we learn how to scientifically measure color. Camp Chroma is an online, on-demand course to help you become an expert color strategist. You know that in your business, you measure floor plans, window treatments, sofas, doorways, so you can get sofas into doorways. Well, why not measure color too? Head over to campchroma.com and find out how you can learn to be an expert color strategist. All right, thank you so much. And just a reminder, if you're listening to this on audio, the show is available on YouTube as a video presentation as well. That is at A Well-Designed Business on YouTube. All right, looking forward to this conversation and sharing it with you. Hey, Darla, thanks so much for coming back on A Well-Designed Business today.
Thank you, Luann. I'm so excited to be here and be back on your show.
I know. It's funny to think how much has happened in this last year. So you were on the show episode 203, right?
Yes.
And we started talking about a Where Are They Now show. And I really was so excited that you wanted to do a Where Are They Now show, because you have really, look, for everybody who hasn't heard episode 203, please go back and listen to 203. You could do it after the fact. It would be sort of good to listen to it first and then come back to this one, just saying, but not a core requirement. But the thing is, I was super impressed when I met you for that episode when I learned that you were only in business for 7 months. And in the last year, we've become really good friends. I mean, we've seen each other at events. You and Natalie came up to New York City for the birthday party at Lefroy Brooks in February.
Which was awesome, by the
I
way.
know, it was so fun, right?
That was
And
great. The
then
after party, especially.
yes. And then we were together at High Point this
Yes.
past April. And of course, all the interaction all through the year through social media. And so I watched your whole business and your whole platform develop. You have the Facebook group, Design Blog. What was the exact name?
The
Design
Design Blog Laboratory.
Laboratory, right? And you, Darla, are such a good leader in that group. You really,
Thank you.
no, you are. I mean, I like my thing is like I'm always enjoying the moment and the process, but I'm also always evaluating. Like I'm always like, are they doing that good? Does that look good? Is that smart? Was that a smart thing to say? Was that a helpful thing to say? Was that necessary? Was that, and I feel like you're always nail it. I feel like you do a really, really good job.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I
Yeah.
love to hear that because sometimes you just put stuff out there and people are watching and listening, but you don't get a lot of feedback. So that's great to hear.
It is the case, right? And that's why I always say to people, if you leave a review in iTunes, that'd be awesome, right? Because it's the truth. You're talking to the walls. You know?
Yes.
And I say to when I mention in an outro or an intro and asking for a review, I say because I read the reviews, and from the reviews, I either lean into something that I'm doing that everybody really likes, or I back up from something that people are like, not so much. You know what I mean? And so
Yes.
it's helpful because who else is good? Like my mom isn't going to say I'm not doing a good job.
Oh yeah, my mom loves everything I do. So.
Exactly. And besides my editor, she's the only one that listens to every show. So who's going to tell me?
Yeah, I do have a couple friends that will tell me, and I get an attitude. I'm like, what are you saying? But I'm like, oh, they're right. Yeah.
They're right. They're right.
Yeah, I do. Thank God for them.
That's it. So feedback is a good thing, right? Right.
Oh
So,
yeah, it's so important.
yeah. So anyway, so you, it's almost a year to the day since you were on the show. You were on the show last year in July, and this year the show's going to air in June. And what has that year been like for you, Darla? Are there things that stand out? Because, you have so many peers out there that
Yes.
are starting their journey today, being today, a new baby designer is born somewhere in the world, right?
Yes. Yes.
So, what would you say, what would you share are some of the biggest revelations or aha moments or challenges that you can
Right.
think of from this last year?
Well, starting right out of the gate, I had a total head start because I had been listening to your podcast for almost a year before I started, right?
Right.
So I went in swinging, right? But after the year, doing and learning, there are things that you run into that you really, maybe I'm hard-headed, but you really kind of you can only experience for yourself,
Right.
right? And then it's like the aha moments. You know how sometimes you have guests that tell you over and over again, and then you'll have one guest and you'll be like, oh yeah,
I get it now.
yeah, I get it. I'm that person. So even though you can hear on podcasts, this system, do it this way, do it that way, it's not until you're really immersed in it so you can see, oh yeah, I think I do
That's
remember hearing that at some point, and this is exactly why. So
it's true.
in the year that's passed, I have learned so much just by we had projects when I did my interview, but yeah, I was a baby designer right out of the gate. Now I'm kind of like a pre-adolescent designer out of the gate, but I learned a lot in the areas of marketing, valuing my time, what I charge clients, how I charge clients, how we work our systems tailored specifically to DPI, and how I like to work and my team likes to work. Delegating outside of my wheelhouse, my scope of genius, which I think has been number one, probably the most impactful thing I've done for my business going in. And I know I've heard a lot of guests on your show, or even people that have written me and says, when did you hire you have an assistant? You have 2 assistants? What the hell? But that has made such a difference in the growth of the company because I just turned 50, right? I reinvented myself.
My God, you look like you're like 35.
And this is why I love you.
Woo!
Yeah, I reinvented myself at 50. I don't want to go back to school to learn CAD. I don't want to go to school to learn SketchUp or Revit. But I put out advertisements in LinkedIn to delegate that outside of my wheelhouse. And that I picked up a book by, I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks.
Hmm.
I think I might have even heard it from your show. Forgive me, I
Okay.
can't remember the
Right.
guest. But he talks about anything outside of your zone of genius, to delegate it, to hire it out. And a lot of people are terrified to do that with the expense. But hands down, that has been so important to my firm and getting more clients and the presentation of the work and having, because when you have a project done in Revit compared to something that I could do hand drawn, it's just so much more impactful. And it's affected how much I can charge clients, and just image is everything, right? And
Right.
how you present yourself and I think that's one of the main reasons why the firm has grown just leaps and bounds in a year. And people think, like, even at the 7 months, you're like, I can't believe you've only been in business for 7 months. People still can't believe we've been in business for a little over a year.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's
Well,
made
let's pick it apart a little bit, because the
sure.
thing is that I hear you. I hear what I'm hearing is that what you're saying is that on 2 levels, being willing to hire out for things that are not your zone of genius was helpful on 2 levels. This is what I
Mhm.
heard. Number one was
Right.
actually someone can do it better. Okay.
In less time.
Right, can do
Right.
it better and in less time.
Right.
And number two, I'm hearing that you're saying is that it enabled you to, well, I'm not going to say this, three things. Number one, it enabled you to do someone else to do it better and in less time. It enabled you to do things that really you're really good at, so you're not struggling through a task
Right.
that you're not good at. And then
Right.
the third thing is that it upped your game brand and visually wise. And so therefore you went right quicker, sooner to being comfortable in charging higher rates because you were presenting yourself so much more professionally. Is that, did,
Right. Yeah, exactly. Pardon me. That, and also because, which a few things that I've heard on your show before is, you froze a little bit there for a minute.
yeah,
Is it gives me more time to be the actual rainmaker for the
right,
firm,
right,
right?
right, right, right,
And
right,
I discovered that the hard way as well. In the 7 months, I imagined I'm going to be hands-on designing every little thing, but there's not enough time in the world
right.
because if it's my firm, I have to be, out doing podcasts or doing interviews or doing videos and meetings with contractors, meetings with realtors, making it rain. I don't have time to sit there and doing SketchUp and Revit for, 10 hours when it takes my lead designer, Johanna, to,
Two, right, right.
right?
Why am I struggling through this? So now let me ask you something, Darla, because there are lots of designers listening to this right now and thinking, my God, right, I'm doing SketchUp and Revit for 8 hours. Yeah, did it, I'm on my 9th hour today. Holy moly, right?
Right,
So is it that because you are not 25 years old and that you did have a full career and that you did, is it that, in other words, did you come to starting your firm with a reserve of money at the ready and you said, look, whatever it was, whether it's $5,000 or $25,000, I've got this amount of money, I'm willing to invest it and spend it and do it until, if it goes, it goes, but if it builds, it builds, that's good. But in other words, everybody else is literally trying to always like, how am I going to pay for that?
right.
So
Okay.
did you come to it with an investment ready to make into this business, or tell me?
Right. Yeah. Obviously, you need to plan, right? If you're going to start a business, you need to have some money to plan. I mean, I know a lot of solopreneurs, they'll go into it and, they're just client to client and client, and that you have to start somewhere. You do have to build. And we didn't hire until we were in about 11 months out, 10 months
Okay.
out, because we started, the income started coming in, and I saw that I was limited on the time, and this would bring me more money, because what we had said before. But yeah, I was, like we had discussed in episode 203, I was in law enforcement for almost 20 years, and I had a retirement saved
Right.
towards that, which would be just like anyone else saying, okay, I'm in job A, I want to start job B, let me plan for it.
Right.
Let me put some money in savings. Because it does take a buttload of money to
Yeah.
run an interior design firm. It's not just you go out and here you are, let me pick some paint colors for you. There's a lot involved with the marketing and everything. It's a lot more than we actually anticipated, but luckily for us, it's working out.
Right, 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 right. Well,
Yeah.
you're doing it intentionally. And so,
Yes.
and the thing is, it's common knowledge. It's commonly understood in business circles that when with each hire you make, you should theoretically be upping your revenue at a greater level than it costs to have that person. It should not be a wash. If you're
Right.
paying that person 20,000, it shouldn't bring you 40,000 in revenue and now you're a wash. If you're paying her 20, it should bring you 70 or 80. If you're paying them 100, it should bring you 200, 300, 400,000. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it depends on what level of expertise that you're hiring. But the thing is, the knowing that and the being told that is different than having the safety and the confidence to do it.
Right. And the worst case scenario, let's say you do go out on a limb and you hire an intern or you hire an assistant and you pay them $15 an hour or $20 an hour and $11 an hour, whatever your market bears. And it's not working out or it's not coming in. They're not married to them. You can always you can always pivot and
Right.
go a different direction and say, maybe I did that a little too soon. Maybe I'm not quite ready for that. Or maybe this person isn't meeting those expectations. So
Hmm.
there's nothing, there's not super glue. You can,
Right, 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 right.
yeah, you can still pivot.
Right. And you also have, services like Brittany Elms, my design assistant, where you
Right.
can just hire a qualified person who knows the design industry for one-off projects and different things like that. If you don't think you
Right.
have the pipeline, established enough to support even a part-time person on a regular basis.
And it's great that you mentioned that because that's actually a really good gateway drug into hiring an assistant or somebody, right? That is actually how I started because I hired Lynn Chris Falusi, pardon me. She's off of in my Ivy group. She started doing some of my renderings because I was doing these really crude, rudimentary renderings, which got the point across, but they were no great shakes to look at. And I started farming those out to her, saving, and starting to put myself into that zone of genius, which sounds funny, but is what it is, to do
Yes.
the rainmaking and the big picture
Mhm.
aesthetics. And when that started working out real well, a light bulb, let me have a body in here that can actually see the space, field measure,
Yeah.
a
Why do I have to
designer.
prepare
Yeah,
all the information to give to her? Just let me have my assistant come along, take all the
yes,
information, all the notes, and then
yeah.
go back and make the thing.
And it's so
Yes.
nice. It's so
Yes.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So, well, Darla, look, not only are you, um, you could, like we said, you said you're 50 years old, you had a full career in law enforcement, like you come to it, um, with, I guess, just more self-confidence as a human being, and it translates into running the business, where if you were really 1 year in business and 25 years old, it might have, you might still be the same personality that would accept some of these things that the other people on the podcast have told you, but maybe the fear would have been greater,
true.
or maybe you would have waited 15 or 18 months instead of
Right.
11. You know what I mean? So, however, it still takes courage at any point, no matter who you are in your business, to take on an employee. It's a very serious thing to be responsible for somebody's livelihood, even if you can pivot and let them go, because who wants to do that, right? You
Right.
don't want to do
Exactly.
that. So it's
And
a
it's
serious undertaking.
and it's good that you mentioned again that I just turned 50 because, after I turn, well, I don't mind it. I own it. It is what it is. I've
Well, when
reinvented
you look like
myself.
that, man, I would walk around with a sign and say, "Did you know I'm 50?"
God bless you. Bless your little heart. I love you so much. What was I going to say? Okay, so after we did the first podcast, I had so many designers. I guess they assumed I wasn't a spring chicken, but in my age group, in their 40s, late 30s, some in their mid 50s that were like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you did a whole second career. I don't have the courage to do it. How did you do it? Oh, but I want to do it, and you so motivated me to do it." And I can't tell you how awesome that was to hear that. I've had friends that have been like, and I said, look, I totally reinvented myself at 49. Life's not over. Hell, you could live another 30 years for all you know. And I
Right.
had a friend that didn't want to do video. She didn't want to do pictures because she just turned 58. And I'm like, do you think you're the only 58-year-old woman in the world? You know how many people you could motivate by going out there and just being badass and showing, owning it?
Yeah.
And that has been just so awesome.
Yeah.
Because in the
No.
beginning, I was like, oh, yeah, I didn't even think I told you my age in the first one because I was like,
No.
oh, this is a young girl's game. But you know what? Screw it.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
That's why I was really very surprised when you said it earlier. Because, like I said, I have met you a couple of times. There's not a chance I would have.
I already love you, Luann. I really
I know. I'm piling it on now. No need. That's awesome.
right.
Uh, okay, so tell me, what would you say? So you recognize that you needed to hire. You did it. Okay.
Mhm.
You recognize that once you did hire, that you were able to spend more time doing things that are created more money and more
Yes.
projects and so forth. You also recognize that it elevated your brand and the work that you were doing as far as in the presentation of the work and so forth. Um, is there anything that you can think of, Darla, that was a particular, come to Jesus moment where you were like, I really did I leave my career for this? Like, or, what am I doing? Like, should I have gone to work for someone? I don't think you probably ever have had one moment where you wish you were a cop again. I'm pretty sure that.
No,
Yeah,
that was a
I'm
very
pretty sure.
fulfilling career, and I have
Yeah.
my rewarding moments from that and great memories, and I was able to help people in a different way, but no.
Yeah, no, I didn't
Good.
suspect knowing what the
Yeah,
conversations we've had, but
yeah.
did you have any moment in the last year where you were truly frightened or second guessing yourself and thinking, should I have worked for somebody else instead of had my name on the door? Like, tell us a particular.
I didn't have any moments where I was frightened or I want to work for anyone else because that's another beautiful thing that comes when you're my age
Mhm.
is you're pretty set in your ways.
That's right.
And you do have that get off my lawn. You don't want to work, for anyone else. But in the beginning, we did have a couple of, challenging projects with some clients that were, a little more challenging. And I remember thinking to myself, man, the only difference is I'm just not getting shot at here.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
so
it
there was
was
a
the
little bit of
dynamic and the interaction of coming to like resolving conflict and problems and things
a
like
little bit, yeah, and it wasn't conflict so much. It was just, I guess, that transition from the public service to the service industry and doing the home, but and also undercharging in the beginning, right? So, and I think that happens too when you put yourself out there and you don't value yourself at a certain rate. You tend to get a certain level of
that.
customer that might not be your ideal client. So that was a huge aha moment. And when we started raising our rates, and I was like, some of these projects that we've done, or some of the, that turned out gorgeous anyway, and the clients ended up being lovely, even though it was, a little bit of a hard road. I've been like, maybe some aren't the ideal, right?
Mhm.
So let's move up into this bracket. And since we've done that, it's definitely made a huge impact. And now, okay, going back to the fear, yeah, I was a little scared to raise the rates
Okay.
for us because of, I speak for myself, but I know that a lot of people, especially women, have that imposter syndrome thing going on. And
Mhm.
they're
Mhm.
like, oh my God, I can't charge this. They're going to figure out, I don't know what I'm doing or I'm a fraud, which, isn't true. We do know what we're doing, but
Right.
some of that panic sets in, but do it. It's
Right.
definitely works for the better. It might take a hot minute for those your followers and your ideal client to pivot and to make that sea change,
Okay.
but it'll definitely happen.
So here's the thing. I'm looking, this show is video. I'm looking at your home in the background,
Hmm.
right?
Yes,
And it's very, very nicely designed. It
thank
looks
you,
like high level design, right? And so the thing is, what that says to me is, and I've seen your portfolio pictures before, you
thank you.
are doing not entry level type work, right? You're doing elevated work.
Yes.
And so the question is, tell us about that, because you started to get into it there, where were your prices, because in the beginning you were less inclined to set them high, at the lower rate, you were attracting clients that aren't even at the level of what your own home is that the case? And so you were like, it was attracting clients that didn't have a budget to do the type of design that you wanted to do.
Yeah, some of that. I mean, my home too is at a certain level, but I think it was also some of how, and I still do, like some of the blog writing in the beginning, because when you first open a firm, you're still, you're trying to get the pipeline in and the clients and the projects and the portfolio. So some of the blog posts I was doing were a little bit scaled towards maybe more of a DIY client, or a client that maybe hadn't worked with an interior designer before, or I really had to educate them for the expectations of what an interior designer entails, the expenses, how they work, how long it can take. Your house might be tore up for a hot minute, and then you'll
Yeah.
love me at the end. Um, yeah, so there was a little bit of that, but it was all me, not knowing exactly how to set up those expectations. So I don't fault the clients one bit. It's just how I marketed and presented to those, clients. And we did get a lot of remodeling jobs and everything, but yeah, now they're starting, since I've upped my prices and I started tailoring my marketing to, I'm not going to say higher end, because we really haven't broken into high end yet, but higher end than
Right,
what we were doing. So it's definitely, the momentum is going in the right direction.
right,
But,
right, right,
again, we've only been a little over a year. So I'm very pleased with where we are now, considering.
right. But there is a correlation, right? So in other words, somebody mid to high end. Okay. So
Yes.
we use
Yeah.
that range, mid to high end. Somebody mid to high end is likely had possibly some experience connected to an interior designer, even if it's not a personal experience. They've had a friend or
Right.
relative that's used a designer. So at mid to high end, right?
Right.
And
Yes.
so they at least have an idea. What even if their idea is unfounded or wrong, they're probably thinking, I'm expecting them to be 150 an hour. I'm expecting them to be 200 and $250 an hour. Or how about this? I'm expecting them to be 200 an hour, and I'm going to be so happy if they're 125, right? So but the
Right.
thing is, if they come to you and your website and they find that it's 85 an hour, a mid to high end is going to be like, that's not my girl.
Yeah, they're gonna be like,
Right?
well, maybe there's something wrong. And
Right.
I find that clients tend to, maybe they don't go with the highest end, but they go with the sweet spot. You don't
Right.
want to be the low, maybe you don't necessarily want to be the highest unless you're Kelly Wersler or someone like that, which, not. But yeah, you need to find your sweet spot for that ideal client in that market. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we've learned over the last year.
Yes, I have to say, in coaching designers, especially the newer designer, when they're sitting at that 75, $85 an hour, and the biggest complaint is, I never get a client that has any money for a project. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's
because
exactly why. Because
you're
they're
in that spot. And I said, now you have to have the talent to go with it. You can't just put a shingle out there at
exactly,
150 or 175 an hour and really be a minute out of school and have no confidence in skills.
exactly.
Some people pop out of school with confidence and skills. You popped out without school and confidence and skills. So good on you.
Thank you. Yeah,
You
I
know
do
what I'm
have,
saying? But that's
yeah.
it. You bring the stuff with you.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
not only do I have the confidence in the skills and the overall vision, the overall aesthetic, and I can walk into a room and see, okay, I want it to be like this. I have the team in place that can draw it up and then show the client, she wants it to be like this. So
Exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Yes. No, it's awesome. It's really pretty interesting.
Thank you.
So I guess the next thing that goes through my mind is um, getting your name out there. That
Right.
was the big claim to fame that you had. And that was so impressive that at 7 months or 6 months in business, you had at that point like 7,000 followers on Instagram.
I
I didn't even
know.
check to see how many you have now. It's probably,
Almost 13. I've
my
been hovering. I've
gosh.
been hovering.
So now, so can you, I know on that show you shared a lot of advice on how
Right.
to grow an Instagram page. And
Right.
the truth is that social media moves at the speed of lightning. And what was valuable a year ago and valid a year ago, very often when you think about growing a social media platform, it doesn't even apply anymore sometimes. So are there things that you could share or teach us in that regard at this point, like your observations on what you've done to grow your, I know you blog, so that's important part of your
Right.
component, right?
It is. And I do blog, and I try to blog weekly, although DPI has gotten so busy that I haven't been blogging weekly because we've been so busy. And I've kind of put myself in a corner because my blog has a specific Darla voice. So I
Yes.
really can't get anyone else to write for me, which is fine. I love writing my own blogs, but yeah, once a week, blog, promote it on social media. But social media is always changing. The algorithms are always changing. They're always, you have to stay, keep your head on a swivel and say, okay, what are we doing to, you know, promote the social media and to gain followers. And the thing that Facebook and Instagram is really promoting now, more so than the vanity metrics, which are the big numbers, the followers, like yes, it's impressive that I had 8,000 or 7,000 or 8,000. And yes, it's impressive that I had almost 13,000 now. But what's more important for Instagram and Facebook is that you have engaged quality followers. And they have put their algorithms to tailor for their viewers, right? For the consumers of Instagram, Facebook, because they want them to have good content. So you can't just get out there and do like you were in, like we've done pods before, the engagement pods and stuff, which I did dally with for a little bit, but I ended up going away from that because it just seems so shallow and insincere to just like things that maybe you weren't genuinely into or didn't align with your
Right.
your branding, right? And to force anyone to like yours that maybe, okay, you're like, oh my god,
Right.
that really sucks, I'm
And
not.
I just have to cut you off here and
Yeah.
laugh about this because Barbara Vittieri was in our pod, Designer Liberty,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah, right.
And by the way, you just said, so, we were in a pod together and maybe it started to feel a little forced that maybe you're liking things that you don't necessarily like. Not Barbara. Don't you remember? Somebody
Yeah.
would post to the pod, she'd be like, I don't really like that. And I was like,
Barbara is awesome. I love Barbara. Barbara and I've actually become really good friends. We met at your in person at your party, your podcast
yes,
party in New
yes,
York.
yes.
She's a pistol. She is
She's,
a
but I remember that. Here we are. There's
yeah,
13 or 14 us in a pod together, and
yeah.
we're all dutifully leaving our four comments, four word comments or more. That's a beautiful lamp. I really love this chandelier.
Right,
That's
right,
a
right,
beautiful table setting. The chairs
right.
are awesome. And she'd be like, I don't really like that one so much. I think it looks ugly. And I'd be like, oh my God, this woman.
Well, listen, that's why her email is HBIC at Designer Liberty, right? Let me tell you, that's a woman who knows what she wants. She doesn't make any bones about it. She is
Yeah.
a total girl
Yeah,
boss.
yeah, yeah. She's funny. So she's been on the show a couple of times. If you're new
Yep.
to the show, you can look Barbara Fatiri, Designer Liberty, up in the queue and find it. Anyway, I just had to go off on that because you're like, and you're in a thing and you're all being polite. And I'm like, yeah, not. She's going to
Well,
tell you it's pretty if it ain't.
that's why we love her. You gotta
That's it.
love her. Yeah.
So, but anyway, so the whole thing, so you learned that the algorithm did not support the pod activity any longer, that it was not really paying off because somehow the little
Right.
robot-y guy figured out that we were all full of crap, right?
Kind of, yeah. And what happens is the algorithms in all of those formats, they say, well, these are her devoted followers. Let's just keep exposing her posts to these devoted followers who are in the pod. And so it got to the point to where, where's my real ROI on this? I mean, I
Yeah,
love Luann, but I love Luann and I love Barbara,
exactly.
but
I'm
they're
not going
not
to
going to be
buy
my
you.
client.
Right. We're not
Just-
going to, we're not going to hire you to design
right.
for us.
So the
Exactly.
so it all while the numbers did jump up a little bit for the followers, especially in a new engagement pod, because you get that pod to follow you and maybe some of their friends. It's more what's called vanity metrics, and you look at the numbers rise and you're like, oh, look how awesome I am, look how many followers I have. But it's really kind of spinning your wheels because
Yes.
it's not genuine, authentic,
Right.
engaged social
Right.
media marketing.
So are you describing now that a designer that has maybe 400 followers has as much ability to make an impact in their marketing on Instagram if 50 of those 400 are legit people that are oohing and eyeing and talking about their post, as opposed to if you had 10,000 and 50 were oohing and eyeing? Like, in other words, the metric now is in relation to how many of your followers are engaged, or is it still like 50 is good, whether it's 50 and you have 400 or 50 and you have 13,000?
If you have 50 engaged followers and they're all commenting on your posts and liking your posts, and that's pretty darn good odds.
Yeah.
If you have 400 followers and when you put a post, you're getting comments, and these are actual real fans and they're actually engaging with you, and it's so important for you to engage back. You need to speak to them and let them know that you're listening, or that you're involved with them. And that's part of building your brand. But yeah, it's better to have 1,000 true engaged followers than just 13,000
Right.
people, right?
And
And
I probably
mhm.
really misspoke. I mean, if you have 400 followers, you're probably not having 50 engaged
Right,
followers.
yeah, they're probably
Yeah,
more.
you're
Yeah.
probably, well, but I was going to say less. I was going to
Oh,
say that
okay.
if you have 400 followers, you probably, your posts are getting 5, 6, 8, 10 comments, not 50.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, probably because that's just the law of averages with the
Right?
followers that you're getting. And it just depends on how you do your marketing. Like if you do your marketing from the get-go, your social media marketing and everything is authentic and genuine and engaged, then the fan base that you build
You
is
can
going to
grow.
be really interested in you as a person. They're going to be more, I'll give you an example about being authentic on social media and engaging and just being yourself, warts and all. We did a photo shoot a week ago for a lovely project that we just did in Brickell, and I had a migraine the whole shoot.
I
And
saw
I
that
did, yeah,
post.
and I did a photo with a migraine on it, and the picture actually came out okay. I mean, it was flattering, or I wouldn't, post it, but still, it wasn't the best, right? Because I really was suffering, and I said I had a migraine, and I was being authentic, and not just isn't this interior design isn't all glamour and pixie dust, and I got a buttload of engagement on that just by being authentic and coming out and saying, I'm only human. Here's a wart. And
Yes.
yeah, so if you get on there and I mean, I'm not saying get on there and say you have a hangnail, every time you do, but and just be yourself, warts and all. And be a real human being and not just some polished, automaton, that'll
Well, and it's true
build your
because,
brand.
Darla, I have to say, like, first of all, I'm not seeing a lot of your posts anymore. I don't know why. Okay.
Okay.
So something happened in the algorithm, right?
Right. Right.
But even when I do, all I do is heart it. Yay, 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 yay. But when I saw that the other day with the migraine, I
Yeah.
was like, oh my God, that
Feel
stinks.
better.
I'm so sorry. Because I actually was like, that really sucks. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's true. It moved me to stop in my tracks and just say to you, Darla, I'm sorry you're having, feeling bad today. Do you know
Which
what I
I
mean?
appreciated.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I
No,
did
but I
notice
mean,
that.
but
Yeah.
it's to your point that if you had just said, hey, we're on photo shoot today, I would went heart,
Mhm.
swipe,
Yeah.
heart, swipe.
And then not everything has to be, doom and gloom. Like I said, like you have a hangnail, I have a migraine, or but just to be real, to
Mhm.
show your audience you're a real human being. Because there were so many people that commiserated with me. Oh my God, yes, I suffer from migraines too. So it helps you connect with that audience and see that you're a real person and just not some head in the box.
Exactly, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So, but you do a good job of connecting all of your social media. And I have to say, um, I'm going to out myself here. We started a conversation on the show about Pinterest with Allison Fannin
Right.
from 235 Designs. Is that the
Yes, I know, Allison. Mhm.
all the firms with the numbers in it? My brain is like, what number is her firm? Okay. But it's Allison, and I know Allison.
Yes.
Hi, Allison. And so she started the conversation about Pinterest, and then Leslie Carruthers continued it more with Rich Pins. And
Yes.
since then, I've had Summer Tannhauser, who is an outside Pinterest expert. And by the time this show airs, I probably will have aired or very close to airing a show with Kate Ahl, who is
Okay.
like the Pinterest lady. Okay. However, but what I remember, and the point I'm making is, I remember when Allison mentioned Rich Pins, and then I had Leslie on, and Allison brought it up toward at the end of the conversation, and I was like, "Oh my God, I'm an hour in. I can't like go down this rabbit hole." So when Leslie came on, and I asked her about it, literally that day, you were in the Facebook group going, "I set my Rich Pins up, this and that, and the other thing," and I just was like, "Oh my God, she's so good," and I'm like, 10 months later, I'm like, can somebody listen to the show and set Rich Pins up for Window Works? Like, I still haven't tasked anybody with doing it yet.
That's actually very helpful. That was a great show with Leslie. I met her at High Point for the first time
Yes.
too. But hi, Leslie, she's awesome.
Smart lady.
Yeah, very smart. That's made a bit of a difference in my Pinterest. So Pinterest, I'm still learning. I'm still the Pinterest thing for me, man. It's just because I enjoy Facebook and Instagram so much more.
Yeah.
But the rich pins have definitely helped bringing traffic to my website from when you blog.
Yeah.
In that, yeah. So that
Well,
was
and
that
the
was
thing for me
smart.
with Pinterest is yes, Instagram and Facebook are more enjoyable because we're people there. Hi, Darla, I'm sorry you have a headache. I mean, a migraine. Like, it's people.
There's that, yeah.
Pinterest doesn't have that, connection, but from an intellectual, objective standpoint, I can recognize how when they started to describe Pinterest as a search engine, it's
Yes.
like, Oh,
Yes,
this isn't all
exactly.
fun and games. This is
Right.
actually, so I have to say that I, number one, was impressed that you immediately revamped yours. And I was like, just still dreaming about it.
You know, I'm a
And
woman of action here, Luann.
you are. That's my point that I'm making. And that's what I love, and I'm like sitting here going, we still have to do ours. So, so yeah, but part of it is what I understood it to be is that, and you, maybe you'll correct me on this, but one of the reasons that I haven't been tasking anybody at WindowWorks with it, or even at the podcast with it, is because I understood that it's really in concert with the blog post. That's the big value of doing it, not just pinning crap to pin it. You have to pin something that connects to your blog, and we haven't gotten our blog game locked down yet.
But you
So
also have projects. You do window works. I mean, I see on Facebook all the time, you put
yeah.
out your window projects and stuff. So you also have a lot of value in that apart from your
Oh,
blog.
okay.
So, I mean,
See,
and
I have to
there's,
understand that.
and
I
it's,
don't
if
really
you think of it as a search engine too, I mean, and especially since your niche, that's it. Your window treatments, the
yes.
end. That's perfect
Oh,
for
see,
you.
I really was holding back thinking it needed to be in relation to the blog post, that was the germ of it.
Not only, no, I wouldn't let
No.
that limit you. No,
Okay.
I would be posting the heck out of that.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
Now
and do
I have
your
no
rich pins.
excuse. Thank you.
Finally, you're welcome. I'm gonna check in with you in a week and make
Ah,
sure.
crap.
It's not like you don't have enough to do. All right. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, so okay, so that's interesting to know. So that's part of your mix, that marketing. I mean, because that what I'm
Yes.
getting to is that you've done a really good job of identifying your ideal client, marketing to your ideal client, and the different ways that you've done it. So you've done it through your blog, you've done it through your Instagram. Now, have you been getting clients through Instagram,
I
Darla?
actually have. I've gotten
Okay.
clients directly from Instagram. A gentleman who's a physician in Coral Gables, he has a $2 million house. We went out and gave him a consultation that we're working. We're in the process of sending him
Wow.
his proposal and everything for. I have received clients directly from Facebook. You know, I've seen your videos. I've seen, I just Googled interior design Miami, and there you were. And then they saw your video, and they feel like they get to know you through that, right?
Right.
So yeah, I have definitely. I even got through Instagram. Natalie and I even had an interview with a television producer who produces design shows for big name design networks, simply from the social media exposure.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And your social media from the beginning was always, your Instagram particularly, was always a mix of other people's work, not because you
Right, in the
didn't
beginning, because
have
you're
your own work.
yeah, you're building your portfolio. So, I was representing my aesthetic, giving shout outs to designers who I admire or whose aesthetic I admire. And then we transitioned from that to doing more of our own photos, more of our own work, more of here's a picture of this cool thing I saw at the store, but we still do that. And it's a good strategy too, especially if you have a larger brand with a bigger following that aligns with you. If you give them the proper shout out, the proper credit for their work, they like we just had a firm, Waddell and Bachetti, right? We just tagged them and said, here's their work, isn't it awesome? And they were like, thank you for the work. So you get a little bit of a boost from that. And they
Okay.
love it. They love it when you share their work, and they're amazing. I love their work. So
And are you grabbing their picture that they've already put on Instagram, or are you going to their website and grabbing their picture and then
depends. It
either
depends.
or? There's
Yeah,
no
whatever.
rule.
Yeah, whatever aligns, whatever we see, whatever our little heart desires.
Okay.
And again, we just did a photo shoot, like I said last week, and we have like 200 of our own pictures to put into the mix. But I do like to mix it because I like to be not only to represent Darla Powell Interiors, but just interior design in general and the aesthetic, and to give other people the shout out as well. I mean, because Kelly Wersler is in California, or people are in New York, and they're not really my direct competition anyway. And I love the community, and I love rising tide boats and all that. So
That's it. I know. I can never say it right. I say it all the time, but I can never say the sentence right. We all go up when everybody goes up or something. Oh no. Here's our
you
Instagram.
froze. Yeah, you
Yes.
froze.
Yeah.
There you are.
There we are.
There you are. Yeah, you froze for a second.
Yep. Yep. So, okay. So, all right. So the thing is that, it's funny. I have, for the most part, I would say largest majority, maybe even like as high as 90, 98% of the people that I've spoken to on the podcast have agreed that but featuring other people's work in your feed is a good, valid thing to do, of course, with recognition and credit.
Of
And a
course.
couple, maybe one, two people, I feel like over the course of the last year, a couple of years, have said that they don't like that as a practice for building your own brand. And
Right.
it's funny because there's a lot of things I'm willing to take somebody to task on when they say on the show if I don't agree, but I don't do it on that because I know there's more than one way to look at it, more than one way to think about it. But in my mind, I always think of you. I always
Oh.
think, well, Darla got 7,000 followers in 7 months by doing it. So I got
Well,
to
we do
tell you.
post our own stuff too now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, the first 7 months, it was
Yeah.
a
It was,
lot of,
yeah. It was a lot of, oh hell, what am I posting today? Because another thing too is another reason why we've gone, so quickly and grown so quickly is we haven't really done decor jobs, right? All our jobs are, let's knock down a wall, let's gut the kitchen, and those take, 6 months, 9 months. So if that's your first job,
you're
man, it's a
waiting and
long
waiting for the
time.
pictures.
You're like, what am I posting today?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So yeah, it takes a while. It takes a hot minute to get that portfolio built up and to get interesting stuff, but it's definitely gaining momentum. So
One of the things I do remember is that you really, it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to have an Instagram account and maybe once every 3 days, every third Tuesday, I'm going to post. I mean, you were legit nose down, head in the phone for like,
yeah. Yeah, Natalie was pretty mad at me too because I was always like in my phone
yes,
all the time. And it's hard work. It's a lot of work and it's
it
very
is.
time consuming. And since, DPI has become more successful, I've had less time to do that part of the social media, which is why we were going to do the social media thing.
Right, right, right,
Yeah.
right. So, okay, so let's tell everybody. So,
Yeah.
so we're announcing here on
Yes,
the
yes.
show, in our pre-show conversation here, Darla and I, I'm saying, where are you now? And so Darla has taken her expertise in this last year of growing this interior design firm out of the ground, like literally from nothing into this thing in 18 months, 16 months, based on, a very strong, concise, planned, nose to the grindstone social media strategy. And
Right.
now you are doing what, Darla?
Now, we are proud to announce, Natalie and I, that we are starting our own social media marketing firm niche to interior designers called Wingnut Social. I know, because Wingnut's my nickname. If you listen to
Right.
episode 203, there's a whole story behind that.
That's
And
it.
and how this came to be is when we really started getting clients and getting busy, I didn't have time for my head to be in the phone to do social media the way I was before. So Natalie and I were like, well, let's find someone to outsource our social media. And we looked high and low and far and wide, and we could not find anyone that could speak to an interior designer's aesthetic. We did find one company and we signed with them. We got locked into a contract with them for 6 months and it was disastrous. I won't name any names, but they did my some of my marketing as like I might as well have been selling car batteries. It was like a widget,
Yeah.
so I was telling, and I've had so many designers come to me and said, your social media is so awesome. How do you do? Who have you hired? What do you do? And I'm like, it's me. We're doing it.
Yeah.
And they're like, let me know, if you could do mine, I'll pay you to do my social media. And Natalie and I had another aha moment. There's a real need for this.
Yeah.
And we started Wingnut Social, which is launching right at your podcast.
Right this
Because,
minute.
yeah, right now, in real time, wingnutsocial.com. So because it's, being an interior designer, having interior designers on staff and running my own very successful, if I do say so, social media campaign, we can look at different interior design firms. Not everybody has the same aesthetic, the same vibe, the same branding, and you successfully utilize their voice. Not that they're widgets or car batteries or, aftershave this company was awful, I'm telling you.
Oh.
And speak to them to their branding. And it's not just me. I go and I'll do the educational videos and I oversee everything and I can, everything comes through me for final approval. But again, the hiring, to the outside the scope, I have degreed people with interior degrees with college degrees in marketing and all the stuff that do the return on investment, that do the analytics, that have everything. So when we have a client, I can say more than, look, isn't this pretty? We can show you, what your actual ROI is and what you get
Right.
out of social media. And I'm so passionate about it and so firmly believe that it is so important, especially as a design business, because we're visual.
Yeah.
We're so visual. You have to be out there. And if you want to build your brand, it's really the only way to go.
Yeah.
So we're
Yeah.
very excited.
It is exciting. And the one question that I asked you before the show is, did you see this as something that, in other words, it's not like you're, doing, your firm for 15 years and it's this big, huge machine with, 3 offices and studios and everything. And it's sort of like, what are you going to do with that? I mean, you really could be saying, and I'm pivoting, like I've done the
Mhm.
design thing and this is light my fire more so, but you shared that that's not your
No,
vision.
I love interior design. Darla Powell Interiors is my main focus, and that's what I want to focus on and be that face and that industry expert for Darla Powell Interiors. But I've discovered through the journey that I really love helping people do their social media marketing, especially interior designers. Which is some things we talk about on my Facebook group, the Design Blog Laboratory.
Right.
So I'll still do my educational videos and talk about the social media marketing, especially as it pertains to interior design. I'm still rocketing with that.
Right, right, right. I love it. I think it's awesome. And so you are in you're in a unique place in order, like you said, we've all had experience with hiring firms to do things for us that connect to our visual message when the firm is outside the industry. It's very hard.
It's
It's
incredibly difficult, and they don't have the training or the education to know mid-century modern, traditional, boho, what is that? But we do know. We
Mhm.
know, and we can run with it.
Mhm.
And actually, I asked her before the show if I could have permission, but we do have a few clients already, but the only one that I'm at liberty to say is we're actually doing all of Designer Celebrities social media with Barbara Viteri.
Nice.
And she doesn't blow any smoke. So she's like, you get on there and you tell them that, I'm very happy you're totally meeting all my social
Mm.
media and, surpassing any expectations. So yay, my
Yeah.
first
No,
designer
that's
celebrity.
yeah, and that is an endorsement. As we, coincidentally, we said earlier in the show about Barbara. That's the one thing. She,
Yes.
you know, she's just not going to say it's great if it's not.
And she told me that. She's like, Darla, I'm going to sign with you, but I'm going to tell you if it sucks, I'm going to tell people it sucks. And I was like, oh my God, what have I done? But
It's
thank
the truth.
God.
You took a big
Yeah.
risk there
Yeah.
because she would.
She would.
She
But
would.
thank God
And the
we,
thing is, why
yeah.
she would is, I mean, yeah, you tell me what you think, but I think that the reason that she does do that is not because she's a
Not
bitch.
at
It's
all.
because she's just like, I just got burned and I don't want to see you get burned.
Well, plus she's genuine. She
That's my
genuinely
point.
wants
It's
to
like,
make you better,
right,
right?
right,
So if you
right.
suck in an area, she'll tell you you suck,
Yeah.
but here's how you cannot suck.
That's the other thing about her too. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
She will look at you even if she's paying you. She
Mhm.
will look at you and critique and say, this is what you need to get your game up. And then if you don't come through, I imagine she probably cut you loose. But
Yeah,
yeah.
no, she's very happy, and she says, "You go on there and you tell them how happy I am, Darla." And I'm like,
Aw,
"Yes."
yeah.
So
Yeah. 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 She's a piece of work. She's a riot.
I
I've
love
worked
her.
with her a couple of times too. She's an absolute crack up.
She's hilarious. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's so exciting, Darla.
Thank
I'm
you. Thank you.
so
I'm
happy
really
for
excited.
you.
Yeah.
And Natalie is working in this business with
Oh
you.
yeah, she loves it. I mean, she loves the design side too, but she's super, super excited about the social media side as well because she doesn't have a design background at all, right? She
No,
just does
no.
the books and the numbers. So this is something she can more sink her teeth into. So
Okay.
she's been, she's my rock,
Yeah.
she's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
She's
we're a team.
Natalie.
We're a
We
team. She's
love
Natalie.
Natalie.
Yeah, who doesn't love? Everybody loves Natalie. Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
Yeah. It's so funny. It's like when I go somewhere, and it's just funny that the relationship is the same. In other words, the correlation is the same. When sometimes when Vinny comes with me to public things, you know what I mean? Whatever event it is, they're all like, oh, "That's Vin. Oh, let me talk to Vinny." And I'm like, okay, or if I swear to goodness, if I do any, you know me, I hardly do any lives. I hardly do any live video, and it's not for
Yeah,
anything. I'm not embarrassed. I
just
just
don't
don't.
have time.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't. Right. But if I do, and he's in it, like the engagement is through the roof. I said to him, "You're like my puppy." I'm like, you're like the puppy. Like, you put the puppy in the picture and everybody loves it. You know what I mean?
Well, I've told Natalie that too. She's like, "Oh, my puppy." I have totally told
You
her.
told her the same
I
thing.
have told her. She said, "Oh, I can't believe you said I'm your puppy." Yeah.
But it's funny
Yeah.
because I think what it is it's that layer of authenticity, right? It's that moment of, oh, that's the guy that she's always talking about. And there they are together. And that's the girl that she's always talking about. And there they are together.
I
Yeah.
was thrilled to see him at your party, and he's so handsome.
Oh,
Good
he's my
job.
Vincenz.
He's
Yeah.
very handsome. Good catch.
That's it. That's the truth. Yeah, I got lucky with him for sure.
Yeah, he got lucky too, though. Let's
Yeah,
not kid
it's a good
ourselves.
thing. We have a good thing. It's fun. It's fun. So, Darla, I am so happy for you and for Natalie, with this new endeavor for you guys. And of course, Darla Powell Interiors is only going up and doing more things. And so you might have to do a where are they now next year? I mean,
I'll
and
be more than happy to. Yeah.
well, and because the thing is it's like, look, I can't do a where are they now with every blasted guest. Let's be serious. Like, no one would come back. Everybody be like, all right, we heard everybody.
That's enough.
But there is something when you make a significant stride that's worth understanding how it happened. And so, for you, the takeaway here was to really understand that you could present your firm in a much more high level, high branded way if you didn't require you to be the one to do, like you said, the renderings and
Right.
things like that. And also that it freed you up to do what you're really good at, which is drum up the business and rainmake for
Yes.
the business. So that's
Absolutely.
true. I mean, we from the very beginning of Window Works, oh my goodness, within I don't know, weeks, it was like, okay, Luann, you just get in the car and sell. We'll do everything else back here.
Right.
You have to, when you recognize that that's their personality and that's their strong suit, you push them out the door and you do that, and then figure out the stuff on one that has to get done on the back end. So,
Right. And that's my area of genius. That's my wheelhouse. That's what
yeah,
I do. I rock Natalie and I rock the consultations. We
yeah,
rock the big picture. We do, the meetings, and that's just what we do best.
that's
So
awesome.
we
I
just
love
keep
it.
doing that.
That's right. That's awesome. I love it,
Thank
Darla.
you. Thank you so
Thanks
much.
so much. I was so glad to see you today. Thank you.
Same here. Thank you so much, Luann. My pleasure.
Well, how much did you love that interview with Darla? I adore Darla. And I am in a fair amount of awe at what she has created in under 18 months in her business. And the thing is, there were a couple of particular takeaways that I'd like to share with you on this episode. The first is the Instagram campaign, right? So we know that it's about getting followers and everything else, but it's just like anything else in life. Be nice, right? Be nice, talk, ask questions, make sincere comments. That's how you get engagement, at least according to Darla. And Darla has got it going on. So, and I definitely agree with her in that regard. The other thing that I love about Darla and what she taught us today was that Darla was not afraid to reach out and pay for services that she knew were not in her wheelhouse. So, and also services that she knew would up level her business. So remember the part of the conversation when she talked about providing drawings for her clients. She's like, I can't do this. And if I attempt to do it, it's going to look like I attempted to do it, right? And instead she hired out to do that. Somebody could do that with professionalism and quality. And then what happens? It up leveled her in the minds of clients. And so it not only creates that air of professionalism, but it actually, is an air of professionalism, right? She's looking at this as a business, as something that she's invested in, and that she wants it to reach a certain level. And she understands in order to reach that level, it actually has to be at that level. And so, and she also is very clear that she's the rainmaker. She understands that she's the one that she goes out and she makes the consultations and she closes the sales. And that's a really, really good thing to recognize is what is the part of your business that you're really good at, right? And it's funny that Darla mentioned Barbara Viteri, because Barbara Viteri was one of the first guests that we had that mentioned that exact philosophy. It's well known in business. No one owns it. We all know it to be true. But I will tell you, Barbara was the first one to explain it to us on the podcast. to figure out your next hire. It's to make your 4 lists, the things that you're really good at, the things that you really like to do, the things that you're really not good at, and the things that you hate to do. And you take a look, and the things that are on those second lists, that third and fourth list, the things I'm not really good at and the things I hate doing, those become the first person that you hire, or a combination of those skill sets is what you're looking for, okay? And that's totally exemplified in Darla's interview today. So join me in congratulating Darla, and also an extra congratulations to Darla and Natalie for launching their new company, Wingnut Social. And keep in mind, if you think that you would like someone to help you and to manage and strategize your social media for your interior design firm, we've got a friend in the business now, right? All right, so thank you so much for joining me today. Keep in mind, we do have the event coming up in Las Vegas at Las Vegas Market. It is a one-day event, action-packed, jam-packed. We are going to be working on your business that day. When I tell you this event is limited to 30 designers, we are not having this big madhouse. I mean, there's tons of space for that, right? Other events that we will have will be as many people as want to come can come. But this is about really digging deep and getting involved in your business. That's what I want to do, me and the co-coaches that I have coming on this event. So probably at the time of this recording, the landing page may or may not be up on my website at luannniagara.com, and then the tab Attend a Live Event. But if it's not up by the airing of this podcast, it is like days away from being up there, okay? So check back, luannniagara.com, and then click on Attend a Live Event, all right? And then keep in mind, Coffee Talk is coming up, and if you want to be part of Coffee Talk, that's when Deborah Damari leads a discussion. You can get in on that. That is at hello@vegandesign.org, and then just tell them that you want to be on Coffee Talk. Pretty sure I'm the guest this month. So I'm pretty sure that we've worked it out that Deborah and I are together going to have a discussion about business and about managing it all and establishing priorities for yourself and trying to understand that through the challenge of running a business and possibly being a husband, a wife, a mother, a father, a brother, a sister, whatever your responsibilities are, that it's not easy to do. And the two of us have been around the bush a couple of times, so we're going to have a little conversation about that and hopefully help you. But you can be in on the live Zoom call with us if you want. Up to 25 designers can be in on the live Zoom call with Deborah and myself. So if you are not already part of Coffee Talk, what you can do is go to Facebook and look for the private Facebook group Luann Niagara and Friends, and ask to join that Facebook group, and then we will be posting the information on the exact date for the next meeting, and we usually are meeting on a Friday at 12 o'clock. Okay, so what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Darla sure shared a lot of information. I would challenge you to pick something that she did and see if you can emulate her and duplicate one process, one thing, one action that she took, and take it for yourself and take it and make something happen in your business today. Okay? Go out there and decide to be excellent. Would you do that for me? Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at luannniagara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.